Greetings, friends, enemies. Whether you're a fan of Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt, whether you prefer Iron Man or Captain America, doesn't matter to me. You are all welcome here on the Harnish So Dark Metal Cast, Episode 3. This is an impromptu video. Just had a few minutes tonight, and there's a lot of cool stuff going on, so just wanted to hop on and update you. First and foremost is the YouTube channel is about to hit 1,000 subscribers. Looking at the screen right now, it's at 962, which is really exciting. Even when we hit 1,000 subscribers, the channel won't be monetized, but I'd love for it to be someday. You still have to have something like 4,000 public viewing hours, which nowhere close to that, but who knows, maybe we could get there. Plus some things, a lot of the content that I put on there can't be monetized because the music goes through CD Baby and it's monetized through there, but some things could be. So like the Under the Dome lyric video, which has never been technically published or distributed, that would be, or videos like this would be, and who knows, maybe I'll start making videos about stuff I'm really passionate about, like space aliens and UFOs, or maybe Tom Cruise. Maybe they're one and the same, right? So anyway, more importantly, is a week from now, 7 days on 8/27, which is also my son Jack's birthday. I'm going to release the next Harnish album, which is Some Killers, which I just happen to have a copy of right back here. So let's take a look. This is, first of all, really creepy and awesome. Again, Aaron Gray did this work for me. It's a kind of a, I don't know what the word would be, inspired by some of the really creepy John Wayne Gacy, Pogo the Clown artwork. It's his own take on it. Fits right in the genre of what we do, and it's just super cool. Everything he does is so nice. His graphic company is just on point. Just give him the basic idea of what you want, and he just runs wild with it. There's all our guest artists, which we'll talk about here in just a minute. Let's pop the CD out. Ooh, yes. So again, just turned out super cool. It's coming out in 1 week. I know not a lot of folks have a CD player anymore. I don't actually have one in my vehicle, which really bums me out, but I just love holding something in my hand with the physical artwork. It just kind of adds to that experience of listening to an album, at least in my opinion. So let me tell you a little bit about Some Killers. A lot of different stuff on here. This is really a different Harnish album experience than there's been in the past. So the Adversary is on there, which you may have heard if you've seen the trailer for the book that I released not too long ago. There's a song playing in the background. I actually ended up using that song as the intro to this album. In addition to that, original songs include No One Leaves This Place. So something I wanted to do on this album, the main theme of it is to have as many guest artists as possible and local musicians that we played with or worked with. But outside of that too, just wanted to explore some different genres and do some different things that haven't maybe had a place on the other Harnish albums. So No One Leaves This Place, in my mind, I really wanted something that just felt like Slayer. Slayer has been a huge inspiration to me. Probably more of the later stuff, more so than the really early Slayer. But I wanted to make a song that just felt like that. So that came out in No One Leaves This Place. Other original songs, The Damned was actually, I think it was the very first song I wrote with this album in mind. And here in about 2.5 weeks, we'll be shooting a music video for that at Oakwood Studios. I love making music videos. Hope to make as many as I possibly can pump out over the next couple of years. Maybe back away from the albums for a little bit. But it's going to be a really cool music video. Got some great ideas for it, so can't wait to get that to you. Also, Devil in Disguise is a song some of you have probably heard before that I recorded a couple different times, crappier versions, before finally making this real studio version with Adam at Oakwood, and turned out great. It's kind of sexy, seductive, dark, just you know, a classic, I guess, Harnish sound. To Be Your Vampire, well, let's skip the ones with guests for right now. Did one cover song, Season of the Witch. Love that song. Haven't heard a cover version of it, and this is not a knock to anybody who's made one. A cover version that really appealed to me. The song is just so dark and so creepy and so weird, and really wanted to capture some of that. I think the first time I heard it was on the Mr. Mercedes soundtrack, TV show based on a Stephen King book, and I just fell in love with it right away, and it was great to get to record this cover of it. So let's see what else. F5 is kind of a weird song, I guess you could say. The melody's a little bit similar to Shooter, maybe another song here and there, so I never really did much with it, but I liked it more and more the more I played with it, and kind of the idea behind it was the song almost feels like you're talking about a storm that's coming, you know, something catastrophic that's about to happen, but the storm's really a metaphor for a man or someone terrible coming into your life and doing terrible things. So that's the idea behind F5, and then that rolls right into Take Shelter with Paul. So let me walk you through the guest tracks. Again, that was really the main idea that I wanted to do with this album, playing you know, with Harnish live and getting that experience of going to different clubs and different venues. You play with all these different great local bands who are incredibly talented, and you meet these incredibly talented musicians, and I just thought it would be so much fun to get to work with them and bring them in and coordinate with them on songs and do different guest parts. And so initially I wanted to try and have a guest artist for every single track. Didn't quite work out. It was pretty difficult to arrange everybody's schedules, and you know, it's not like I was paying anybody $1 million to come do it, so not always the easiest to set up, but I was able to get a lot of great folks to participate. So the first one is a song called Digital Heresy, and it features PINT The Entity, which is also Aaron Gray, who does the beautiful cover art. He's just tremendous tracks, releases singles. My favorite one is a song called Voorhees Flow. It's the genre, it's hip hop, which I really love, and it's, I don't know if it's, I don't want to get the genre wrong if you call it horrorcore or horror flow, but just really cool, really scary hip hop music, and his voice is just so perfectly fit for it. And I was lucky enough to get him to do a guest part on the song. Wrote his own lyrics and everything. It is really sweet. So the song, actually, I've never liked bands like Linkin Park or Limp Bizkit or anything like that, but I've had this song for quite a while that was kind of in that style. And I think, I could be wrong, but back in college there was this online game called, super inappropriate, it's called Pimp Wars. And I remember I would make these spoof songs, like I think it was mostly Eminem tracks or whatever, and send it in. They actually used the spoof songs I made as the introduction to this online game. And I tried to write an original song for it once, and I don't think they ever used it. But that was kind of the base of this song, and it just evolved over the years, and eventually it became more about, you know, I guess how in our culture we've almost kind of replaced our deities with a digital world or digital idols, and that's really what it's about, I think. So really appreciate Pint stepping in and adding to that track. Made it absolutely incredible, and it's way outside the genre of what you might normally hear for a Harnish song. It's not, I'm not rapping by any means, but it is a little more in that vein of Linkin Park or Limp Bizkit or whatever. So hope you enjoy it. The next song where I had guest artists is To Be Your Vampire 3. So I think that's my last To Be Your Vampire song. We've had one on several albums. We call it the Unholy Trilogy, and I think that's the end of it. So it turned out incredible. Worm from Fall Child. I'm not even going to try to say his last name. I accidentally misspelled his last name in the test cover art, or the test jacket art, and I know if I try to say it, I will screw it up. So I'm just going to say the legendary Worm stepped into the studio and laid down the bass for the song. Oh my God. It is evil, it is funky, it is perfect. It added so much and a whole different depth and layer to the song. He just absolutely killed it. And then also cool is my nephew Doug, who's a drum major at University of Arkansas and is doing incredible things there, making like real music and doing stuff that really counts. Actually came into the studio and he did some brass work, played the trombone on the song. So it's a really dark, twisted, kind of diabolical song, and then at the end you get this brass work that is just ominous and outside the box of what you might normally hear on a song like that, but it turned out so good. The Rider, which I think you probably heard by now, it's the first single we released. The Rider is kind of a dark country tune. My favorite dark country tune is, if you ever seen The Punisher with Thomas Jane, where I'm going to forget the guy's name, he's a real country singer, but he plays a hitman and he comes into this little diner and he just sits down and he just like sings this song to Thomas Jane the Punisher about how he's going to kill him. And that's probably my first exposure to, I guess, dark country, and so I've had kind of this love for it off and on since, and that's how I felt The Rider was. Cody just happened to be at the studio with Worm the day we were doing Vampire, and I said, hey, you want to give this song a go? And I mean, he just hit a home run because he's such an amazing singer. So that's for most of the verses on the song. That's Cody Slane of Fall Child, and man, it is just, it's great. We had a review from Sentinel Daily recently, and they said in the review that's probably the best song that Harnish has ever put out. So really thank Cody for stepping up to the plate and just absolutely slaying it on that song. Love it. Probably one of my favorite Harnish songs ever. So No Better Night to Die. This is tough. Maybe my favorite song on the album. Andrea Shirley, who's a permanent Harnish member, usually plays the bass on most of our albums and live. Some of you don't know, she's actually also an incredible singer, and just came up with this song. It's kind of a domestic violence, murder, suicide thing. It's not very pleasant, and it's kind of a man and a woman going back and forth in the vocals and the lyrics. And Andrea came in and did those parts for me, and it is so good. It is so dark. Just the middle part, you'll hear she talks about things, life spilling down the drain, and it just gives me goosebumps every time I hear it. So we have one more song planned for Andrea. We didn't get time to do it where she's doing vocals, but maybe on a future album to come. And then also another female vocalist, Jillian Mahaffey, who I met through Andrea. I found some of her videos on YouTube where she's just singing these songs that she wrote, and it's probably like the best singer I've ever been in the presence of. Just a natural, beautiful singer, like somebody who should be on The Voice or American Idol. Extremely talented, and one of the songs she wrote, "Who Will Save Me Now," is it's very pretty, but it's also really bluesy, really sad. There's a lot of pain in it, and kind of had the idea to cover it, and that's, I guess, what we technically call it on the album, but it's almost not even like a cover. It was just the experience to get her to come in. They played the piano, let her sing it, and then I added some subtle layers in the background, a little bit of I wouldn't necessarily call it a duet, but just some ambiance in the background that I think kind of gives a little bit of that Harnish vibe. But it is a really cool song, and when you hear it on the album, you're almost like, what is this? It almost, it's almost like it's out of place from everything else that you hear on a Harnish album. But for me, like, I love that, and it's those kind of songs that really grow on me. There's so many. When I was first experiencing Danzig, which most of you know is my favorite band, there would occasionally be these tracks on the albums. I'm like, what is this? This is like an Elvis song or a strange love song or weird, and you know, it shocks you a little bit at first, but then they grow on me and they end up being my favorite songs on those albums. So I hope that's the experience for some of you on that one. But Jillian, amazing job. The title track, Some Killers, as you know, I like to scream, but I don't ever do the type vocals, and I rarely hear those vocals that I like. But one exception is Jake from State Farm Gregory of Pariah System, and he's a beast. The first time we played with Jake was when he was in Altar Blood. I believe it was at Badass Renee's, and I remember pulling into the parking lot and seeing him. And you know how sometimes you see somebody and you know they've got that it factor, and you think, this person's either going to be like great or they're going to be a total jerk. And well, he ended up being absolutely great. Jake is one of the nicest people I've ever met. He's one of the most talented people I've ever met. He is hilarious and he rocks, and kind of made a connection and kept that connection, and had this pretty heavy song with this nice opening for those killer type vocals. And he came into the studio, he wrote the lines for me for his parts, and oh man, it's wicked cool and way deserving to be the title track. So can't thank him enough. And last but absolutely not least is Paul Brown. Paul Brown, as you know, former guitarist for Harnish, recorded the drums on the first two albums. Dear friend Paul Brown, we had this little bit of a snippet of a song that we had worked on together in the album, and we didn't get much time to finish that up, but we had this really cool piece, and Paul let me take that piece and kind of tweak it a little bit and make it the outro track for the album. Kind of wanted to replicate that thing we did with In Dark Water, where you have the first two tracks that kind of link in together, and then the last two tracks that link in together, and they're connected by sound. Again, this is all stuff that you experience if you get to, when you're listening to a physical album on the CD player. It works on Spotify or whatever, but in my opinion, it's not quite as smooth. But that's Paul Brown on there on the guitar, and then I added some lyrics, and it turned out really cool. At least I think it turned out really cool. So this album is a lot of fun. Features a lot of local musicians, great artists, great friends. You have got to get a copy of this. Whether you download it, you message me, I'll send you one of these, whatever you want to do, but you got to experience it. And again, so this is Harnish Metalcast episode 3, 7 days. Pick up your copy of Some Killers. If you haven't already done so, get on the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you can know when we upload really cool things like the Damned music video coming soon, here in about a month. All right, you all have a good night.